382 bronze busts, countless broken records, infinite legendary moments. From Jim Thorpe to Antonio Gates, the Pro Football Hall of Fame tells the story of America's game through its greatest players. Today, we're breaking down every Hall of Famer in just 20 minutes. Buckle up because we're about to sprint through football history faster than Deion Sanders returning a punt. Number 20, the Forgotten Pioneers. Let's kick this off with the guys who literally kicked off the NFL. We're talking about 18 Hall of Famers from the leather helmet era who most fans couldn't name if their fantasy season depended on it. Jim Thorpe wasn't just the first president of the NFL. Dude was basically Superman before Superman existed. Olympic gold medalist, played pro baseball, and dominated football like he invented it. Then you've got guys like Red Grange, the galloping ghost, who single-handedly saved pro football by bringing 73,000 fans to watch him play at the Polo Grounds against the Giants in 1925. Without Grange, the NFL might have folded faster than the XFL. These pioneers include legends like Bronco Nagurski, who was so tough he'd run through tacklers instead of around them, and Dutch Clark, the Flying Dutchman, who revolutionized the quarterback position before anyone knew what a quarterback was supposed to do. Guys like Ernie Nevers scored 40 points in a single game, a record that still stands today. Fun fact, many of these guys played both offense and defense, sometimes for 60 straight minutes. Today's players get gassed after a 2-minute drill. Number 19, the kicking game specialists. Remember when everyone said kickers and punters didn't belong in Canton? Well, tell that to the 5 specialists who proved them wrong. Jan Stenerud broke the barrier in 1991, becoming the first pure kicker inducted. This Norwegian ski jumper turned sidewinding kicker basically invented the soccer-style kick that every kicker uses today. Morten Andersen, the Great Dane, he's followed with 2,544 career points. That's more points than most teams score in 2 seasons. George Blanda gets an asterisk here because while he kicked for 26 seasons, yes, 26, he also threw 236 touchdown passes. Ray Guy changed punting forever with his hang time that required NASA calculations. And then there's Devin Hester, the only return specialist in the Hall, who made opposing coaches literally kick the ball out of bounds rather than face him. 14 punt return TDs, 5 kickoff return TDs, and 1 opening Super Bowl kickoff that made Bears fans think they were about to win it all. Spoiler, they didn't. These guys proved that specialists aren't just footnote players, they're game changers who deserve their bronze busts. Number 18, the ownership and front office legends. Behind every great team is a great owner or GM, and the Hall recognizes 29 of these behind-the-scenes wizards. George Halas literally founded the Bears, coached them, played for them, and probably sold hot dogs at halftime. Art Rooney bought the Steelers for $2,500 in 1933 and turned them into a dynasty worth billions. Then you've got front office geniuses like Ozzie Newsome, who went from Hall of Fame tight end to Hall of Fame GM without missing a beat. Bill Polian built winners in Buffalo, Carolina, and Indianapolis. Ron Wolf traded for some quarterback named Brett Favre, who turned out pretty good. These guys didn't throw touchdown passes, but they built the teams that did. Al Davis deserves his own movie. Just win, baby wasn't just a slogan. It was a way of life that included drafting speed over everything and suing the NFL more than anyone else. These architects of excellence understood that championships start in the front office, not just on the field, and their legacies live on in the franchises they built. Number 17, the broadcasting icons. 2 names stand above the rest when it comes to voices of the game, John Madden and Pat Summerall. Madden wasn't just boom. In turkey legs, he won a Super Bowl coaching the Raiders and posted a .759 winning percentage. But it was his broadcasting that made him a household name. The Madden video game franchise? That's immortality in pixels. Summerall's smooth delivery paired with Madden's enthusiasm created the soundtrack to Sunday afternoons for millions of Americans. These guys didn't just call games, they taught America how to watch football. Madden's telestrator explanations turned casual fans into students of the game, while Summerall's understated brilliance let the action speak for itself. When Madden circled players and drew arrows showing blocking schemes, he was essentially giving free coaching clinics to millions of viewers who suddenly understood why that touchdown happened. Hit subscribe, because unlike the Hall of Fame, this button isn't that exclusive. Number 16, the one-team wonders. Some players bleed their team colors, and 142 Hall of Famers spent their entire careers with one franchise. Walter Payton's 16,726 rushing yards, all came in a Bears uniform. Dan Marino's 420 touchdown passes, all as a Dolphin. Barry Sanders' mind-bending runs that made physics professors question reality, every single one in Detroit. These loyalists include Johnny Unitas, ignore that Charger stint, Dick Butkus, who hit so hard opponents needed therapy, and more recently, guys like Ray Lewis and Patrick Willis. In today's free agency era, seeing someone like Larry Fitzgerald or Russell Wilson potentially joining this club feels increasingly rare. The Rooney family has 3 Hall of Famers who never left Pittsburgh: John Stallworth, Jack Lambert, and Mike Webster. That's commitment, folks. These one-team wonders prove that loyalty and legacy can go hand in hand, creating bonds with their cities that transcend the game itself. Number 15, the game-changing coaches. Coaching in the Hall isn't just about wins, it's about innovation. 27 coaches earned their busts, and each one changed how football was played. Vince Lombardi's name is literally on the Super Bowl trophy. Bill Walsh invented the West Coast offense that every team now runs some version of. Paul Brown basically invented modern coaching game film, playbooks, face masks, you name it. Don Shula holds the all-time wins record with 347, and that's never getting broken in today's NFL. Tom Landry created the 4-3 defense and wore that fedora like a boss for 29 years in Dallas. Chuck Noll won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years with Pittsburgh. Bill Belichick, wait, he's not in yet. Give it time. These coaches didn't just win games, they revolutionized how the game is played, studied, and understood. Their innovation spread throughout the league faster than a quarterback sneak on 4th and inches, permanently changing football's strategic landscape. Number 14, the receiving revolution. Wide receivers and tight ends combined for 65 Hall of Famers, and they've evolved from possession guys to athletic freaks. Don Hutson dominated the 1930s and 40s so thoroughly that he led the league in touchdowns 8 times. 8. Jerry Rice then said, "Hold my beer," and put up numbers that look like typos. 22,895 receiving yards and 197 touchdowns. The tight end position evolved from blockers who occasionally caught passes to weapons like Mike Ditka, Ozzie Newsome, and Tony Gonzalez. Shannon Sharp talked more trash than a garbage collector while revolutionizing the position. The 2025 inductee, Antonio Gates, never played college football but still caught 116 touchdowns. Today's receivers like Randy Moss and Terrell Owens combine supreme athleticism with personalities bigger than their stats. These pass catchers didn't just run routes, they changed defensive schemes, forced rule changes, and gave quarterbacks weapons that turned good offenses into unstoppable juggernauts. Number 13, the Shutdown Corners. The Hall houses 33 defensive backs who made quarterbacks' lives miserable. Night Train Lane pioneered the clothesline tackle, now very illegal. Mel Blount hit so hard they changed the rules. Deion Sanders played receiver, returned kicks, and occasionally tried baseball between shutting down half the field. Rod Woodson might be the most complete DB ever, picks, tackles, and versatility to play corner and safety at an all-pro level. Ronnie Lott. He had part of his pinky amputated rather than miss games. That's toughness you can't coach. Ed Reed could read quarterbacks' minds, while Troy Polamalu seemed to teleport around the field, hair flowing like a superhero cape. The latest addition, Eric Allen, waited 19 years, but finally got his gold jacket with 54 career interceptions. These ball hawks didn't just defend passes, they turned interceptions into offensive weapons, creating scoring opportunities out of thin air and making quarterbacks second-guess every throw. Number 12, the defensive line destroyers. 52 Hall of Fame defensive linemen wreaked havoc in opposing backfields. Reggie White, the Minister of Defense, recorded 198 sacks while also being an ordained minister. Bruce Smith topped that with 200 sacks, though he'll tell you the half sacks matter too. Deacon Jones invented the term sack and probably had 300 of them if anyone had bothered counting back then. Mean Joe Green anchored the steel curtain. Alan Page became a Supreme Court justice after terrorizing quarterbacks. The latest inductees include Julius Peppers, 159.5 sacks, and Dwight Freeney, whose spin move was more devastating than any dance move. These guys didn't just rush the passer. They changed protection schemes, influenced draft strategies, and gave offensive linemen nightmares. When offensive coordinators game plan, they literally have to account for where these monsters line up, often dedicating 2 or 3 blockers just to slow them down, and sometimes that wasn't even enough. Number 11, the Trench Warriors. Speaking of offensive line men, 51 of them earned Hall of Fame honors despite never touching the football. Anthony Munoz set the gold standard at left tackle. Jonathan Ogden and Walter Jones formed a modern tackle tandem that redefined the position. Interior linemen like Mike Webster, Gene Upshaw, and Larry Allen, who could bench press a small car, proved that games are won in the trenches. These unsung heroes make everyone else look good. Jim Otto played with more injuries than a medical textbook. Bruce Matthews played 296 games. That's like 18 full seasons of not missing a single snap. John Hanna hit so hard, defenders started calling in sick. Without these guys, your favorite quarterback is eating dirt sandwiches all game long. The best part? Most fans can't name 5 Hall of Fame offensive linemen, but every quarterback who played behind them knows exactly who kept them upright and made their careers possible. Number 10, the special team game changers. Beyond kickers and punters, several Hall of Famers made their mark on special teams while excelling at other positions. Steve Tasker made Pro Bowls as a gunner. Bill Belichick calls him the best special teams player ever. And Belichick knows special teams like Gordon Ramsay knows cursing. Mel Renfro returned punts for touchdowns when he wasn't busy being an all-pro cornerback. Gale Sayers averaged 30.6 yards per kickoff return in the 1960s. Brian Mitchell's 23,330 all-purpose yards included massive special teams contributions. These guys proved that the third phase of the game could swing championships. Just ask the 2006 Bears about Devin Hester, the first pure return specialist inducted, whose 20 return touchdowns made every kick an adventure. Special teams might be called the third phase, but when these guys touched the ball, it often became the most exciting phase, turning what should be routine plays into game-breaking moments. Number 9, the dual threat quarterbacks. Before Lamar Jackson, several Hall of Fame QBs could beat you with their legs. Fran Tarkenton scrambled before scrambling was cool, retiring as the all-time passing leader while running for 3,674 yards. Steve Young won 2 passing titles and averaged 5.9 yards per carry. That's running back territory. Randall Cunningham could have been a Pro Bowl punter if he wasn't busy revolutionizing the QB position. Warren Moon put up crazy numbers in both the CFL and NFL while running for 1,736 yards. These guys paved the way for today's mobile quarterbacks who make defensive coordinators lose sleep and hair in equal measure. They prove that a quarterback doesn't have to be a statue in the pocket. Sometimes the best play is to tuck it and run, leaving linebackers grasping at air and defensive schemes in shambles. Number 8, the Dynasty Builders. Some Hall of Famers are synonymous with dynasties. The 1970s Steelers put 10 players in Canton from their 4 Super Bowl teams. The 1980s 49ers added 9 more. The 1990s Cowboys contributed 7 Hall of Famers from their triplet teams. These weren't just good teams, they were video game rosters come to life. The Steelers' defense included 4 Hall of Fame linebackers. The 49ers had Joe Montana throwing to Jerry Rice. The Cowboys had Troy Aikman handing off to Emmitt Smith behind Larry Allen. The Patriots dynasty is still adding members, with Belichick and several players destined for Canton. Dynasties don't happen by accident. They happen when Hall of Fame talents align like football constellations. The Packers of the 1960s added 9 Hall of Famers from Lombardi's championship teams, proving that sustained excellence requires multiple gold jacket-worthy players working in perfect harmony. Number 7, the linebacker legends. 48 linebackers terrorized offenses from sideline to sideline. Dick Butkus played angry, not fake angry, but legitimately furious at the existence of offensive players. Ray Nitschke looked like he ate quarterbacks for breakfast. Lawrence Taylor changed how offenses game planned by requiring specific protections just for him. Modern era brought Ray Lewis's pregame dances and game-changing plays. Brian Urlacher could cover receivers like a safety and stuff runs like a tackle. Junior Seau's intensity burned bright until it burned out too soon. Patrick Willis and Luke Kuechly had shorter careers but dominated every snap. These guys didn't just make tackles, they made offensive coordinators reconsider their career choices. The best linebackers combine the speed of a defensive back, the strength of a lineman, and the instincts of a predator, creating defensive nightmares that offensive players still have flashbacks about years later. Number 6, the running back royalty. 62 running backs carved their names into Canton's walls. Jim Brown retired at 29 as the all-time leading rusher and never looked back. Walter Payton combined power, grace, and durability. Barry Sanders made defenders miss in ways that defied physics and logic seriously. Watch his highlights in slow motion and try to explain how humans can move like that. Emmitt Smith broke all the records with vision and patience. Eric Dickerson's upright running style and rec specs became iconic. Earl Campbell was a human bowling ball. LaDainian Tomlinson scored touchdowns like it was Madden on rookie mode 31 in one season. Adrian Peterson ran angry. Marshall Faulk caught passes like a receiver. These backs didn't just gain yards, they created art with their feet. The position has evolved from pure power runners to versatile weapons who can run, catch, and even throw, making them the Swiss Army knives of offensive football. Number 5, the small school surprises. Not every Hall of Famer went to Alabama or Notre Dame. Jerry Rice from Mississippi Valley State became the GOAT receiver. Walter Payton from Jackson State became Sweetness. Deacon Jones from South Carolina State became the Secretary of Defense. These small school stars proved talent trumps pedigree. Art Shell from Maryland Eastern Shore became the first African-American head coach in the modern era. Larry Allen from Sonoma State could bench press your house. Michael Strand from Texas Southern holds the single-season sack record. These guys had to work harder to get noticed, and that work ethic carried them to Canton. They didn't get the 5-star treatment or prime-time exposure in college, but they used that chip on their shoulder as fuel to dominate at the highest level, proving that greatness can come from anywhere. Number 4, the quarterback Mount Rushmore. 45 quarterbacks lead the Hall of Fame parade, but some stand above the rest. Johnny Unitas invented the 2-minute drill. Joe Montana won 4 Super Bowls and earned the nickname Joe Cool for his clutch performances. Dan Marino rewrote the record books without ever winning at all. Brett Favre played like a kid in the backyard while breaking every passing record. Peyton Manning called his own plays and dissected defenses like a surgeon. Tom Brady, well, he'll be eligible soon enough with his 7 rings. These quarterbacks didn't just throw footballs. They conducted symphonies, led men into battle, and created moments that defined generations of fans. Otto Graham won 7 championships. Sammy Baugh threw passes and punts with equal excellence. Each era brought new innovations, from Y.A. Tittle's passing prowess to John Elway's comeback magic. The evolution of the quarterback position mirrors the evolution of football itself, from ground and pound game managers to today's athletic marvels who can beat you with their arms, legs, and minds. Number 3, the barrier breakers. The Hall honors those who broke barriers and changed the game socially. Fritz Pollard became the first African-American coach in 1921. Kenny Washington and Woody Strode reintegrated the NFL in 1946. The entire 1960s AFL contributed to racial progress by signing players the NFL overlooked. Art Shell broke the modern coaching barrier. Ozzie Newsome became the first African-American GM. These weren't just great players, they were pioneers who faced challenges beyond the football field. Their courage opened doors for generations. Every current player owes a debt to these trailblazers who fought battles bigger than any game. They endured death threats, segregated hotels, and hostile crowds, yet persevered with dignity and excellence. Their legacy extends far beyond statistics. They changed what was possible for those who came after them, proving that courage and character matter as much as athletic ability. Number 2, the record setters. Some Hall of Famers own records that may never be broken. Jerry Rice's receiving records look untouchable. Bruce Smith's 200 sacks set the bar. Emmitt Smith's 18,355 rushing yards required longevity and consistency that today's game doesn't allow. Paul Krause's 81 interceptions happened when quarterbacks threw 20 times a game, not 40. Don Shula's 347 wins? Good luck catching that in the modern NFL. Brett Favre's 297 consecutive starts at quarterback is superhuman. George Blanda playing until age 48 won't happen again. These records aren't just numbers, they're monuments to excellence that remind us how special these players were. In today's era of load management, specialized roles, and shorter careers, many of these records have transformed from challenging goals into impossible dreams. They stand as testaments to different eras when durability was as valued as ability. Number 1, the greatest player ever debate. At the top of our countdown sits the eternal debate. Who's the GOAT? Jim Brown retired as the best and never lost that status in many minds. Jerry Rice's number suggests no one dominated their position more thoroughly. Lawrence Taylor changed how defenses played. Reggie White combined stats with impact. Walter Payton embodied everything great about football. But here's the truth with 382 Hall of Famers. We don't need one GOAT. We have a whole farm of greatness. Each player brought something unique, something special, something that made grown men cry when they retired. From Jim Thorpe to the class of 2025, every bust tells a story of excellence, dedication, and love for the game that captivates millions every Sunday. The real greatness of the Hall of Fame isn't in comparing legends, but in celebrating how each one pushed the boundaries of what was possible, inspiring the next generation to reach even higher. So there you have it, 382 Hall of Famers explained in 20 minutes. From leather helmets to modern marvels, from two-way players to specialists, from barrier breakers to record setters, the Pro Football Hall of Fame captures a century of greatness. These bronze busts represent more than statistics. They embody the spirit, passion, and evolution of America's game. Which Hall of Famer inspired you to love football? Drop their name in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Canton, smash that subscribe button harder than Dick Butkus hit running backs. Until next time, keep your head on a swivel. And remember, on any given Sunday, you might be watching a future Hall of Famer make history.